Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Talk Business with Audrey. I'm your host, Audrey Bell Kearney, and today I'm going to be talking about why I decided to use Shopify versus Etsy or some of the other platforms. So I'm going to tell you why I did that right after this intro. I'll be right back.
Welcome to Talk Business with Audrey. Hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney. The show that helps everyday people turn their big ideas into successful businesses so that they can live the boss life. Sit back and take notes.
So welcome back again. So again, I'm Audrey Bell Kearney. I am my company is Pillow Envy and Talk Business with Audrey. And so recently, I decided to launch a an e-commerce store. And my goal was to have to launch something that I cared about, to launch something that people would love, and to be able to create products, because I always wanted to be a creative, but I'm not that creative. Like, I can't draw, I can't paint, I can't do any of those things. And but I know how to use the computer really well. And so I decided to launch a store. And when I decided to launch the store, I thought about Etsy and I thought about Shopify. And I actually went to start everything on Etsy. But when I was going through all of the notes, and by that time I had about 75 products in my store. And I realized I had to put all these descriptions and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is not going to work. Like, I cannot go back and put like all of this. Like, I had put titles, I had put names, I had put like some descriptions, but Etsy had a whole list of things that I should be doing. So looking at all the videos on YouTube, everybody was saying, make sure you got this, make sure you put that, make sure this listed this way. You got keywords here, all of these things. And I was like, yeah, this is way too much. Now, here's the thing. It really wasn't too much, but it was too much at the time. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to hit pause on Etsy for right now. But what attracted me to Etsy was the fact that Etsy was a search engine. That's what attracted me to Etsy. And people were saying how much money they were making on Etsy, how good their stores were doing on Etsy. And I was like, okay, that sounds really cool. So that was my first attraction to Etsy in the first place. But then once I created all my products, put them in my Printify store, got ready to go to Etsy and upload everything. Then I saw all of these parameters that I had to go back and fill in. So I had to fill it in for 75 products. And I was like, wow, that is a lot of products. And it became overwhelming. So I decided to pause Etsy for now. And I'm saying for now because I'm going to go back to Etsy, and I have even more products at this point, but I'm going to go back to Etsy. But I decided to pause Etsy for now, and I decided to go to Shopify. So I had two reasons for going to Shopify. One of the reasons were Shopify has a program for minority entrepreneurs, especially Black entrepreneurs. And I was like, okay, I already knew they had that program because I had been watching them and I had been on some of the webinars and a lot of the things that they were doing for Black entrepreneurs. And I thought that was pretty cool. And so I had been watching them. So, okay, because I could have went to BigCommerce, or I could have went to Zazzle, or it was a whole lot of them. It's so many right now. WooCommerce. I could have gone to any of those, but I decided to go with Shopify. And the reason I went with Shopify, one, I didn't have to put in all of those descriptions. Like, once I put my descriptions inside of Printify, they automatically integrated and populated over to my Shopify store. So that was perfect for me, which made it a lot simpler. Now, I do have to go back and add some pictures because I do have like the pictures that are from Printify, even though they don't look bad. I want to go back and really add some lifestyle pictures. So I'm going to go back into my Shopify account and add some lifestyle pictures. But my other reason was because Shopify is very well known. It was easy for me to set up. They have a minority program attached to their thing. They also talked about something that I had heard something about NFTs, and I was like, okay, that sounds pretty interesting. So these were some of the things that made me decide to use Printify and Shopify together versus me using Printify and some other platform. I love the fact that there are a lot of apps that you can use to help you to set your store up. Like, I'm using quite a few apps. I think right now I have about 6 or 7 apps installed, and I just got finished installing one today. And in another video, I'm going to talk about all the apps that I'm using to run my store and also how much it's costing me. Because here's the thing, here's the other side. Now, Etsy, you have your fees on Etsy, but your fees are not nearly what, let me just say this. When you use Shopify, those fees start to add up. They start to add up really quickly if you start to put in all these different apps, because most of those apps are not free. You have to pay for them, and it just adds up. And depending on which app you use, you can pay a nice little hefty penny. So I'm going to talk about in another video how much money I'm actually spending to run the store. Now, I'm not complaining because I've had a brick and mortar before who I spend way more money, way more money. I have an office right now that I hardly ever go into, that I spend money for every month. So I'm not going to complain about the money that I'm spending on my Shopify store, but I want you to know that I probably spend way more money on Shopify than I do on Etsy. So Etsy does have that advantage, and also it's a search engine. So the thing I don't like about Shopify is that there is no search engine. Like, nobody's going to Shopify searching for pillows. That's what I don't like. I wish there was a way for people to go there, like they can go to Etsy and say, I'm looking for a striped pillow that's blue and white and with a little bit of shades of purple, and I come up in the search engine. But that's not what happens. So you have to actually go out there and really promote your store for people to find out where you are, versus Etsy, which is what was attractive in the beginning for me. With Etsy, it is a search engine and people are there looking for things. So that's why I said I hit the pause button. I did not count Etsy out. I just hit the pause button because I needed to get started. And what I realized was that if I spent time really just focusing on Etsy, I probably could have gotten it done. But I just felt so overwhelmed with just thinking about all of the information I had to go and put in for the for those 75 products. So I was like, you know what? Instead of me getting stuck, how about I just go ahead, set up my Shopify store, get that set up and running, and I'm pretty much complete at this point. I just added one more app. I got to go in there and do a couple more things. I got to do two more apps I got to add, and then I'll be finished. Then I'll go back to Etsy, because now I have a store that's running, and then I'll go back and set Etsy up. I'm not going to add any new products to the store until I set Etsy up. And then I'll have both Etsy and Shopify running at the same time with all of the apps attached to Shopify. So, that was my reasoning for using Shopify. Only because when I looked at Etsy, it looked really overwhelming because I had to go back and fill in all of that information. Now, what I would tell anybody, this is what I would say. If you're gonna start on Etsy, and I'm just starting out, y'all, I'm just telling you from my experience, I am literally just starting out. If you are going to start your store on Etsy, I would say before you upload 100 products, do a short batch at a time. Go to Etsy, put them in your store, and put all the information that's required. So this way you don't do like me and get overwhelmed and back out. Now, I could have backed out and said, you know what, I'm not doing this at all. It's a lot of work, but I'm not afraid of work. I was just overwhelmed when I saw like all of the information that had to go in there. So instead of me saying I'm going to quit before I even started, I was like, you know what, let me just go to Shopify. It's a lot simpler. I'm going to go there. It's going to pull all my information in from Printify that I've already typed up and put in there. So that was my thinking. So if you're going to use Etsy, I would say it's probably really, really good for the search engine part of it. It's probably really, really good because it's not so many apps that you have to plug in, and all these extra fees, because I got a lot of fees, and I'm going to talk about it. But it's not so much that there's not so many fees that I would say I'm not going to do this, because it's a business. And so I do understand that at the end of the day, I'm running a business, so I can't run my business for free, and I definitely cannot run it efficiently for free. So I don't have a problem with paying the fees, but I wanted to make sure that I have the best platforms. I think both Etsy and Shopify are great platforms. They both have their own strengths and weaknesses. And so it's just going to be up to you. Now, me personally, because my goal is to build a international brand, I plan on being on every platform that I can get on. So that's just me personally. But you may not want to do that. Etsy may be your platform of choice. You may never want to get on Shopify. Shopify may be your platform of choice, and you may never want to get on Etsy. What I will say is just make sure that you understand how both platforms work, because I probably would have started on Etsy first. and had my store set up and run on Etsy first, had I known that before I put in 75 products, I should have put in all these parameters and filled in all this information on the Etsy platform before I did that. So, or I would have did like small batches and just put that in there before I did all of the products that I had done, which shut me down. So anyway, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Do me a favor, down below in the link, hit subscribe so you never miss my lives. I like going live. I know I got to get better at doing videos that I actually record. I like doing live videos, so I like going live. So do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, comment if you got a comment, if you got a question. I'm just starting out, but I do know a little bit about business. I've been a business owner for 25 years. I've been in e-commerce for a month. So, but I have learned a lot in that month. So if you got a question about starting your Shopify store, what apps I'm using, all of that good stuff, comment below, like this episode if it helped you out at all, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button right down below just so you never miss an episode. All right. So listen, thank you again. I will be back again pretty soon with another episode. You guys stay safe out there, and until next time, make it a great day. Bye, everybody.
You've been listening to Talk Business with Audrey. Bringing you another powerful resource to help you start or grow your business so that you can live the boss life. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the show now, share it with your friends, and drop Audrey a note over at www.talkbusinessaudrey.biz.